Presents. How about Mr. 3 instrument guy over here? Love it, love it. How many excited for the new year? All right, that's 70%. I'm here to pump you up to get us to 100% for the new year, and I am 39 years old in Christ this weekend. 39 years old, and for those of you who are trying to do the math, I received Jesus when I came out of the womb, so not really, as you know. But 39 birthdays in Jesus Christ, and so thankful for all God has done through Jesus. Nothing on my own, amen? Just all His grace. But we're looking back, as Pastor Brian said, over incredible 2021. Some amazing things happened in 2021. We had many salvations, over 25, I believe, salvations. People who come to know Christ and start following Him. I see some right here. Come on, you're not ashamed. How many received Christ over this last year? Look at that. Hands received Christ in the body. And many of those baptized, and just, man, our heart, this is why we're here, right, church? So that others too may follow Christ. And we saw baptisms, we saw ministries just flourishing, people getting connected in as a family, doing ministry together. We had our Men of Iron just ramping it up with steak nights. I mean, come on. I don't know if any other church is having steak nights, but for us, the Men of Iron, we do steak and sometimes bullets and guns, and I don't know. We're going to get the guys into church. But man, that and sisterhood, so many great things happened over this last year. And it was also a hard year, right? If we're honest, there were some hard things. We lost some dear folks this last year, and so it was hard. But what I got to say, and if you're here with us for a Thanksgiving service where we give testimony, the vast amount of testimonies were given to the kind of family that this church has been through, not just the great moments, but the hard moments. And then we just came together. So even in the lowest of lows, this body comes together as true family, and that's what family does, and that's why we're just so appreciative of all God is doing here to strengthen us and to grow us as a family in Christ. Amen? So that's why we're excited, and if you're a guest here today, thank you for being here. If that's the one thing you need to know about us, not that just we teach the Word of God and believe in following Jesus Christ, but we believe we're supposed to be true family together. So you found a family if that's what you're looking for. I want to pump you up a little bit more. I got a few announcements to make, like I said last week. So if you came back today, you're going to get some announcements today just to get us rocking and rolling, a little excited about what 2022 has for us. I want to let you know about our land next door. We have 450 acres, if you didn't know. Because of building prices and everything else, we've decided to go ahead and sell that so that we can purchase something. And now, as of today, we are in contract with somebody who made an offer, and now we should be closing within 60 days. That's an amazing. There's a history behind this, but let me just tell you right now that we sold the land, and we will have basically $1.5 million in the bank after 60 days. That's still a lot of money today, though, right? I mean, if you're into Bitcoin, maybe not, but this, God has just blessed us so much with what we're going to be able to do in the future with that. And so continue to pray that God guides us and directs us right up into the closing. I also want to let you know that we do have aspirations of purchasing a permanent home, and so we've been on the lookout for that. But the first thing we needed to do is find a financial institution to partner with us for the remainder, what might be left. And so you know, coming out of COVID, banks are not really eager to work with churches who haven't been meeting, and who are subject to a lot of this stuff going on politically and everything else. But God paved a way, and just a few weeks ago, we got pre-approval from the first bank we actually applied with, thanks to some help and some connections, to go ahead and look for a purchase of a building. So I want to say that's a miracle today. But it's a testimony, yeah. But I got to tell you, it's a testimony to who God's brought to this church, because we have great aspirations, but we also have great skilled and gifted people to make sure we have stayed financially solid through the pandemic. There are a lot of churches that weren't able to do that. We were able to do that. You guys continue to be generous, even when you're watching through a live stream, to allow us to stay solid so that we can go to a bank and say, we're on track. We are healthy. We're solid to move forward. And they applauded us for that, and I want to applaud you. Thank you guys for being generous and continually, consistently giving. Even when you can't come on a Sunday, you continue to give so that we can do great things in the future. So I'm giving you guys a hand today. Come on. Good stuff. So I'm going to let you know, maybe over the next few weeks, we have some other news, but we're working on next steps. We're looking at locations, buildings, all those things. I'm not at liberty to say any of that right now. Come on, Pastor Mike, we're the in crowd. Give us the skivvy on that. Can't do that right now, but I will tell you, this is going to be an exciting year. We're hoping to have some really cool information in the month of January. So just keep coming back, because I'm going to tell you, God is doing great things. He's got great plans in store for you and for Life Coast in 2022. Do you believe that? I believe it. God's got plans. God wants to bless. God wants to guide and direct. He wants to grow you, grow us. He wants us to flourish. Wants us to grow us in our faith. He wants us to see His hand working like never before in your life, in your marriage, in your kids, and in your church. God has big dreams for 2022. I don't just say that. He's been planning 2022 before time even began. He knew what the year was going to be. He's got things in store. The question is, are we going to walk in those things? He does have great things in store. Are you believing for big things in 2022? Are you praying for big things in 2022? What are some things you're praying for in 2022? A new house, health, anything else? Grandson. Yeah, okay, over here. More salvations. Woo! Got to win the trophy. Yes! More transformed life. Eagles in the Super Bowl. This message is for you. We are really just ecstatic for the new year. He's got great things for 2022. We're excited about that. Give Jesus a clap. Just say, come on, Jesus, bring it. How many believe this could happen this year? Everything but the Eagles in the Super Bowl. I'm here. I'm usually that pastor that pumps you up, like Arnold, I'll pump you up. Here, we're going to run into the new year. But what if I were to say, none of that's going to happen? Whoa, what a mean pastor. How are you going to build us up like that? And yeah, I had a gym I used to go to. Strangely enough, it was called East Coast Gym, like our gym. And here's a guy that I go in there on the first or the second or third, and you get this wave of people. Nobody here is probably like that. They go on the January 1st, but then you don't see them on February 1st. You guys are way more committed. But I'd watch these people trickle in, and after lifting there about 15 years, in the last few years, he'd introduce himself on the first week of January. Say, okay, so while you're here, I got big hopes. I'm gonna turn this to this. I'm going to turn this to this, and all this. And after a while, he says, nah, it's not going to happen. He goes, what? No, I can tell it's not going to happen. I mean, you can join, but I'm just telling you, we're going to be here in a month. I'm like, so that struck me back. I'm like, wow, that's a bad business model, by the way. But I'm like, what has happened? I'm like, man, you're like Mr. Depresso, the depressing coach. What's happening? He goes, I can just tell by the questions I ask them, they got a lot of need to do this. They don't have any want to do this or want to change, so I'm just saving them some time. I'm like, I thought about that for him. I says, you really are saving them some time because, I mean, how many have gone a few weeks and then you quit, you forget to go back, and then you don't go back, and then you willingly don't go back, and then you feel guilty. There's another year, and then you feel, he says, I'm just saving them from all that, okay? So I know that sounds depressing, but when you turn it into everything you're hoping for in 2022, if everything you want to happen in 2022, if you're going to exert all your focus, all your energy, all you think you need into 2022, but something doesn't change in here, it's not going to happen. Crickets. Yeah, because sometimes things happen, right? Sometimes manna falls from heaven. Sometimes a miracle. Sometimes these things just, all of a sudden, I'm going to the gym and I've never gone before. Sometimes, but for most of us, For many of us, the things we really want to see happen won't happen unless something happens in us. Does that make sense? So it's not so depressing, it's just a challenge. I want to challenge you, then pump you up. So that's where we're going today. Something's got to happen in us before something can change or something can happen in the year ahead. So if you don't want things to look the same year after year, if you don't want 2022 to look exactly like last year, it's going to require some change. If you want change, you have to make a change. Have you ever heard that before? Something's got to change. You have to have that honest, somewhat awkward moment where you're evaluating some things about yourself. You just can't go, it's going to be awesome, and never evaluate what's really going on. Because if you don't evaluate, it's a pipe dream, baby. You've got to have that awkward moment, like, really, what's happening in here? God, kind of show me, like David, show me my heart. I got to see what's going on in there. And if you know me in leadership, I love doing debriefs. After everything we do, I said, what did we do? What did we do well? What did we not do so well? What can we change? At first, it's like, Pastor, you're being kind of mean. You're just like, oh, what do we need to change? And here's where. But I believe that we always need to reassess, reevaluate to see what God's showing us so we can change it and run ahead. I believe that's the Christian life. And in the new year's, what a better time to do this. Right now. So if you want this year to be better and you want you to be a better you in 2022, going to be a lot of rhyming today. If you want to be the you that you hope for, instead of pumping you up today, pumping you up to be that 20 pounds lighter, less stressful, more spiritual, that greater faith person in 2022, I'm just going to ask you a question and let God do the pumping up. Just going to ask you this question. I'm going to ask you in a couple different ways to make sure we're all on board with what I'm asking. Here's your question. We ready for it? Say, ask me the question. Okay, we're ready. What are you holding on to that's holding you back from 2022 and all God has for you? What are you holding on to that's holding you back from all God has for you? What are you holding on to that if you're actually honest, is holding onto you? What are you dragging around that's slowing you down from running that race? What are you grabbing a hold of that you're hiding from others, from her, from him, from the kids, from friends? Because if they knew, you'd be humiliated, so you hide it. And you're hoping for big things, but you got something you're holding on to and you're hiding. What's got a hold of you that's making a monkey out of you? Have you ever heard that illustration about the monkey trap? You know, how do you catch a monkey? You carve out a hole in a coconut or a tree just enough for his hand to get in, and you put a banana in there. And what does he do? He grabs a hold of that banana when he reaches in, and he makes that fist, and now he can't get out. And studies have shown that they'll stay there for days. They will starve because they do not want to let go of that thing. They become enslaved to that thing. They just can't let go. What's holding on to you, keeping you from going forward? So, it's really not enough that we could be thinking and hoping for great things in 2022 and get passionate about it, because it's not going to happen if you have a roadblock, a hindrance, an obstacle, a shackle that you need to reassess, reevaluate, open your eyes and say, what needs to happen with this? If I'm going to become who I'm supposed to be, if we're as a church, because we are all Life Coast Church, if you belong here, amen? If we're going to be all we're supposed to be, meant to be, all God's dreamt for us to be, then we need to look at what we're holding on to, because we're a part of a whole. And if some are holding on, others are trying to run, we're holding each other back. What are we holding on to? What's got a hold of some of us that's keeping all of us from accomplishing all God has for us? All y'all, we're all in. Amen? Southern talk. How do we live his dreams for us? Great question. What should you do? I'll tell you what to do. Let go of the banana and run. Sermon over. Let's go. Now, I've tried that, Pastor Mike. Now, if you're here and you're not a Christian, if you're not a Christ follower, that's pretty much all I have for you. Let go of the banana and run. Your life can be better. Your marriage could be better if you let go of things, okay? And you could improve. You could improve some things in your life. But if you're here and you're a Christ follower, there's so much more for us than just let go and run. There is so much that God wants to share with us today that's going to actually pump us up and allow us to think, this really could be the best year of my life. Really, not just saying it. Really could be the best year of my life. So, if you're a Christ follower, this is going to be very encouraging. We're going to turn to the book of Romans. Many in this room, our favorite book, the letter to the Romans, Paul's letter. If you got your Bibles, turn there. If you got your scrolly things, scroll there. If you need a Bible, want to take a Bible home, raise your hand. Somebody will get you one. They're free. And I'd love to have you start reading along with us. Apostle Paul here is in the first century, and he's a Christ follower, and he's writing to the church, the Christians, the Christ followers in Rome, okay? And he's just writing a letter to them, to those living back in Rome, and he's addressing this very kind of issue that we're talking about today. He says in Romans 6, starting with verse 16, he says, hey, Christians, hey, life coasters, when you're holding on to something that's holding you back or holding you down, don't you know that when you offer yourselves to someone as obedient slaves, you are slaves to the one you obey? That is, when you stick your hand into that thing, when you put your life into that scenario, when you choose to get into this lifestyle, and you got your hand in there and you grab a hold and you refuse to let go of that thing until it's got a hold on you, you are obeying that thing, that habit, that lifestyle, that hobby. And when you obey it, you make yourself a slave to it. That makes sense? You gave allegiance, you gave power to it. So whatever or whoever you say yes to the degree that they're now controlling your behavior or hindering your future, that thing has become your master. You've chosen to be a slave. Wow, I didn't even think about it that way. Paul knew that. That's why he said, don't you know? This is the truth. And it's huge. This is a big deal for us moving forward into the next year of our lives and to our entire Christian walk. Then Paul says, since you are slaves of the one you obey, whether you are slaves to sin, which leads to death, or obedience, which leads to righteousness. Now we're getting Bible words here, so I want to just make some definitions, just so they're helpful for us moving forward and to apply the truth. So here's some definitions. Sin equals missing God's mark. Missing God's mark. His way, his bar, his standard, but also his direction in your life, his path for you. So when you sin, you're off his mark, off his path, out of his direction. Obedience in that verse equals to submit to authority, to submit to God's authority, and or to submit to his direction for you. Does that make sense? Not just saying yes, God, but where God, how God, when God. Okay? So when we're obedient, those are the comments or the responses we have. Lastly, righteousness is more than just a beautiful thing like righteous. This is alignment with God. This is actually being in alignment and good standing with God. So when you're righteous, you're in alignment not just with his ways, but with his pathways, with his journey for your life. Does that make sense? It's going to make a little bit more sense as we go on here, but I just wanted to define some things. So Paul is saying you can enslave yourself to sin, missing God's way, God's path, his journey, his will for your life. You can engage that way, engage in sin. It's not just acting or a behavior. It's not just touching something or doing something. It's more than that. And listen, this is where church sometimes can get it wrong. Maybe you had an old school teaching, but it gets us into thinking about sin only as do that, don't taste, don't drink that, don't. Ever hear those commands? Or don't. And we think, okay, those are sins, and they are. I'm not saying they aren't. But the problem is, sin is a much bigger picture. Okay, sin, little s sin, or touching the wrong things, getting involved in the wrong things. Big S sin, the big entity of sin, is an enticing force that pulls you into a lifestyle, a worldview, or a path or a journey away from God. It's a force, and it's a force to be reckoned with. So what I want to tell you, and this may sound a little wonky for you, but Pastor Mike is not telling you to sin less in 2022. Did he just tell me to sin? No, I didn't tell you to sin more or sin. I'm telling you 2022 is not for you to focus on how do I sin less? How do I sin less? How do I avoid more sins? That is behavior modification. Sometimes we call that religion. What Jesus is interested in is life transformation. That's something different. That's a whole nother level. Okay, so I'm not saying it's okay to sin. I'm not saying that at all. What I'm saying is what we focus on is not the sin, but on transformed life, transformed living. What does that look like? Because that's got great hope in it. Avoiding sin tomorrow does not have a whole lot of hope in it. You feel good for a day, and guess what? The next day's coming. Life transformation is, oh boy, what could this year actually look like? And Jesus wants life and heart transformation. So sin is not just an action, but it's a lifestyle. It's a pathway you're taking that undermines you, that undermines all God has for you, God's will for you, his path for you. You engage in this, it undermines everything God's trying to do in you, and that's sin, because you're missing the mark he has for you. Does that make sense? He's got a path for you in 2022, and if you go this direction, get caught up in these things, these habits, even these hobbies, these people, you are undermining God's path for you, his will for you, and it's his will, his path is great, but that is missing his mark for your life. And you're also undermining those around you, your family, your kids, because he's got a path, he's got a will for your family, for your marriage. You undermine that when you miss the mark, when you get off track. And this church, well, he's got a path and a will and a great plan to use us together in this church to reach this community. And when you get off track, you undermine some of that as well. Does that make sense? Because I'm just telling you, it's easy to come and sit anonymously in a seat and say, well, they're doing good. They is us. And I don't know about your family, but my family, when one of my kids aren't doing well, it affects the whole family. We ain't going to Disney when this kid's off the tracks, pretend everything's okay. We can't get there. It's going to blow up right on the merry-go-round. It's going to be, what happened here? Well, we're not dealing with something. Right? The magic kingdom will not be magic. But God has great plans, but if some of us continue to get off track and we don't reassess and reevaluate and say, where are we missing the mark? All of us can't get to where God wants us to be. That's just the truth. It's called family responsibility. And that's why I'm preaching this message, because I want us to be a tight family to accomplish all God has for us by the end of this year, so we can go, woo, look what God did through us. Praise him. Praise him. So, we don't want to be in sin lifestyle, sin behavior, because Paul says sin kills things. He says this in another letter. Sin kills. Jesus says Satan loves to come in and steal and kill and destroy anything God's doing in you and everyone around you. That's what sin does. So when you as a Christian, when I as a Christian, whose sins have been forgiven at the cross, so this isn't about taking them down and wearing sins. It's about the big S sin. When you and I as Christians choose to go off track, off his path, and take a hold of something, someone, some lifestyle, some distraction, we get enslaved and it kills. It kills us. It kills our relationship with God for a moment because it's disruptive. It kills our relationship with each other. It kills the peace we have. When we're caught up, we don't have peace, amen? There's no peace in there. And it kills 2022 and all it could be because we slip off the path. So, if we're enslaved to these things and it kills this thing going on that God's doing in us, we get stuck. However, what Paul says, it's getting good now, if we obey, if we submit to God's way for us, God's path for us, his direction, leading us into alignment with him, his thinking about things, his will about things, it leads to righteousness equals life. If we obey his ways, it leads to life, people. Life like we've never known it before. Paul says this in verse 17, but thanks be to God that though you and I used to be actual slaves to sin, holding on to it and can't let go, you have come to obey from your heart the pattern of teaching that has now claimed your allegiance to Jesus. You have been, say it, set free. There it is. You have been set free. That's amazing. You've been set free from pathways that miss God's mark. You've been set free from things that shackle you, that tie you up, that you have to drag around. You have been set free from everything that keeps you from all that God has for you. You've become instead slaves to righteousness, right things, Christ-like things, Christ ways. Now you're a slave to all he has. Lock me up, Jesus. I'm with you. Right? So what Paul's saying is you're always going to be a slave. You just get to choose who you're going to be enslaved to. But what I want to tell you, Paul says, is you don't have to choose this because it's got no power over you anyway. Why are you hanging around over here? Right? It does. You can actually just say, no, you don't need that. You used to be real slaves. Now you're choosing to be a slave to Christ because in his death and resurrection, there's no more power in this lifestyle, in this habit, in this addiction, in this way of life, in this thinking. No more power in it. And there's no life in it. It's useless. Because he lives in us, now we're set free. And this is important why you should be a Christian. You can be set free from everything that's shackling you and be set free to life in Christ. So that thing has no control of you. You're now free. And it's not about free to be religious, free to do all the good things and not the bad things, free to look better and better to all my friends every year, free to have great attendance in church, sliding back into do's and don'ts, and that's not it. Any of those things aren't good. They're good. It's not life in Christ, a way of life in Christ, where life is infused in us and overflows out of us to others. We're here because we love being here with the brothers and sisters and worshiping Jesus. Not because we have to be here. Honestly, we could all use the pandemic as an excuse, right? Not feeling good, pastor staying home, preaching from his phone. I love seeing you guys. I love seeing what Christ is doing in you. I love to see your faces like, yeah, I got hope for the new year. This is going to be great. I love to go home and pray for every one of you. It's amazing when the body comes together. So it's not about being religious. It's not about becoming slaves to things and do's and don'ts. It's about being slaves to the Christ-like life of freedom and life and joy. And that's what he's got for us. So what you need to do is just stop doing that. Just stop it. Have you ever saw that one video from a long what was the guy's name? Counselor? Say it again. No. It was the counselor up in Vermont. But he's got a counselee with him, and she's like going through her things. He's like, so what do you have to say, counselor? Stop it. Yeah, what else? Stop it. Stop it. It's one of the funniest. Bob Newhart, if you're I just aged myself. Bob Newhart. Look it up, Bob Newhart. Stop it. You'll love it. So that's what I'm saying. Stop it. And I know what you're saying because I've said the same thing. You're telling me to stop that thing, that habit, that addiction, that thing that's enslaving me. You just say stop it. And I've tried to stop it. I don't know what else to do. And I'd like to say there's more, and there is. There's great encouragement in Scripture for you, for every one of us. I'm going to show you a passage in Hebrews that's really going to help. And I want this to sink in. So go to Hebrews. It's going to give you some great, great encouragement and direction of what to do even right here today. But what you're going to do to be able to run into 2022. Hebrews 12, 2-3 says this: to those who get hindered, bound up, who get weighed down, or caught in these lifestyles or behaviors, he says, therefore, since we are surrounded by such a great cloud of witnesses, since we're surrounded by so many believers who have already gone to be with Jesus and they're watching us, rooting us on, woo, that got saved, woo, get that prayer life going. They're just surrounding us, encouraging us, say, angels, get around that one, get that one. Since you've got millions and millions of spiritual beings with Jesus rooting us on, is anyone encouraged yet? You are not alone. Okay? Well, then let us throw off everything that hinders and the sin that so easily entangles, and let us run with perseverance the race marked out for us. That word throw off in the Greek, that means to violently thrust it. In the Greek Olympian days, they'd run and they'd throw weights, throw rocks backwards to thrust them forwards. And that was the word. Throw it off. Just throw it down, right? Just let it go. Let it go. Let it go. Just kind of practice that. No, you don't have to practice that with me. And then run. I mean, the motto for us, especially right now, should be drop it and run. Drop it and run. I ask you, what are you dropping for this year? How are you running to Jesus this year? Drop it and run. That should be a motto, but run with perseverance, with steadfastness, with longevity. You got long range in sight. We're not thinking of December 31st of 2022. We're thinking 5 years, 10 years till Jesus comes to get us. We're running like that. Nothing's getting in our way. It's the path. What are we running to? The race and the path he marked out for us. That's telling us that he's got a path marked out for us. That should be so encouraging. I don't know what to do. I don't know what God wants me to do this year. Well, he's got something. That should encourage you to just seek it out. He's got it for you. He doesn't want you to be wandering in the wilderness for 2022 and then all of a sudden last day of the year, aha, I think I know what I was supposed to do this year. Really? What'd you do for 364 days? You ask him now, what do you got? What did you mark out? What's the race you have for me? Man, he's got a race. He's got it marked out for you. Imagine being a Christian, and that's many of us at different times of our Christian walk. Imagine being a Christian who are living their life on their own and missing the path that God had for them. Flourishing, being blessed, yes, going through ups and downs, but he turns it into good to grow us in our faith and likeness of Jesus Christ. Imagine missing out on that. You don't want to this year. You don't want to miss out on his mark just because you had a thing you want to do. If he's got a thing for you, it's way better. Way better. Can I say that a lot? Way better than anything you got going on your own. Parting Red Seas, come on, read the Bible. He's got some great things that he wants to do that'll blow your mind, right? But you got to let that thing, that weight, that person, that group of friends even go. You got to drop them like a hot potato, drop them like a rock. I know, still sounds easy, right? But I've tried that, it didn't work. By February, I'm still caught up again. I get it, but there's more. This is the secret sauce for 2022. I'm just going to lay it to you. It's going to be encouraging. Go to the next verse. He says, and let us run with perseverance the race that God's marked out for us. Verse 2, fixing our eyes on Pastor Mike. No, fixing our eyes on my next paycheck. Fixing our eyes on my next cruise if they ever open that one back up. Fixing our eyes on what? On who? Jesus, the pioneer, the starter, the journeyman, the one who started this whole thing, and the perfecter of the faith life. He's perfected the race, the life that he's marked out for you. He showed you the way, and now he's saying, as he always does in the New Testament, follow me, follow me, follow me. I love this wording so much. It's so helpful. Take it home with you. That word fix, your eyes in the Greek is to gaze with undivided attention by looking away from every other object. Like when I first met Holly. Mike, well, whatever. To gaze with undivided attention, not looking at anything else. Fix your eyes like that in every area of your life, not just Sundays. Every area of your life can be fixed into, locked onto, tractor beamed into Jesus and what he has for you in that area. Intently focus. Someone say focus. Focus your eyes, focus your life, focus your thinking on Jesus. This thing right here, grabbing a hold of it, touching it, that's not the issue. We're not thinking, oh, how do I stop? How do I get away from that thing? That thing's just driving. I don't know what to do to that thing. You know what you're doing? You're focusing. When you focus, you project, you inject energy into something, some action, some lifestyle. And guess what? If you keep focusing on that thing, you'll continue to grab that thing. And we'll have the same conversation next January. The author's not saying, hey, here's what you ought to do. He's saying, thrust it and get your eyes, get your life, get your actions on Jesus. Get with Jesus. How much should I get with Jesus? The whole year. As much as you can. Driving, I'm with Jesus. Walking into work, I need more Jesus. Here are my thoughts. Are they like you, Jesus? Praying to Jesus consistently, more. It's not a legality. It's a life-transforming thing. That's what we need to do. Here's what Jesus knows. You will always follow what you focus on. Whatever you've been focusing on, you're going to continue to follow. If you're so focused on the news, what's happening with pandemics, what's happening with politics, what's happening to whatever is going on, you will begin to follow that and focus on that, and you will not get off track. You will stay there. You will probably be even the expert in pandemics and stats and vaccines. You'll be the expert on blues and reds and donkeys and elephants. You will be the expert on what everybody else should be doing. You'll have links and everything else, and everyone will say, you have just done your research. I'm here to tell you, you keep focusing, you'll follow that the rest of the year. You look at Jesus and let that stuff go, the year is going to look way different. I don't know what's coming up this year, but your life can knock it out of the park spiritually for his kingdom no matter what comes. You'll look back and say, yeah, that was tough, but look what Jesus did. And people will say, you're kind of freaky. Why are you so freaky like that? Didn't you see what was going on? Yeah, it was awful. But I saw what Jesus was doing. We got salvations that happened right in this room during a pandemic, actually during losing one of our loved ones, one of our leaders here. And Jesus said, focus. It is painful. It is hard. My kingdom's greater. Stay focused. Because in the end you'll say, look what Jesus did, despite what the enemy wanted to do. You get to choose. So here Jesus says, throw it off with a force. Focus on me. And the next thing you know, you'll be following me, the author, the perfecter, the refiner of this faith life. You'll be following me, and your life will never look the same. Jesus wants you to follow him into a new life. Not better actions, a lifestyle, a whole life view of what he's got for you, an unknown journey that doesn't involve these things, these habits. There's so much more to do with your life in this kingdom, it will blow your mind. But he won't give you a map today. If he did, it wouldn't be faith. He wants you to have faith. It's faith. So you fix your eyes on Jesus and you follow in faith. If all this was about actions and behaviors, that wouldn't be faith either. I'm just going to tell you, I've lived that life. If everything's about touching and not doing this thing, here's what's going to happen. I'll either try so hard at not doing that I'll keep doing it, and I'll get exhausted, and I'll say, well, whatever, I'll just keep doing it all. That's what the flesh says. Or you'll get so good at it that that's all you focus on, and everyone will put you on a pedestal, and you won't even realize the things that Jesus wants to do, but you'll be this perfect little acting Christian. But you won't be useful for the kingdom of heaven. That's a hard truth. But if you're only focused on what you're doing instead of who Jesus is, you're limiting yourself, and you'll go to heaven saying, I decreased my sin actions 10% every year until I came to see you, Jesus. He says, well, who did you bring with you? Because the harvest was ripe. Or you can simply do what a lot of Christians do and make sure everything looks good out here, but you got this stuff going on back here. That new year, I loved how he said, he's been meaning to lose some weight, get off that alcohol, so he's going to join a gym. I encourage Bob, join that gym. This will be great. He did join that gym. Guess what? February came. He kept going. Miracle, but I love that. He started dropping weight. Yay, Bob. And next thing you know, he's thinking about some shows. He's going to do some contests. He's dropped 25. He's gained a lot of muscle. He's signing up for some shows. And Christians are all applauding. Bob is the deal. Bob has really done it this time. Bob has really changed his life around, and he wins a contest or whatever else. He looks great. And we start applauding because on the outside, these are great things. Fitness, Nancy, James, these are great things. Fitness, great. Bring on the virus, right? It's like, I'm so healthy. And we're applauding, and what we don't realize is Bob's wife left him 3 months ago because he spends 4 hours a day in the gym, and she had to take care of the kids. What do we applaud as Christians that are actions, but may not be the heart and the followership of somebody to Jesus? Because the things that Christians applaud for aren't always what Jesus applauds for. You may not look like the big success in this world, have it all together, but you're repentant and you're chasing hard after Jesus and his life for you, and Jesus goes, I want to use you greatly. But we get to make the choice. We either dabble, we mess around, we hold on to, we keep focusing on that, or we focus on Jesus. Say, whatever that needs to look like, Jesus. 2022, you bring it. I receive it. I'm following hard after you, the author and perfecter of my faith. And that's all he asks. That's what he wants. The more you focus on Jesus in 2022, the more you will follow Jesus in 2022. I know it sounds 101, right? But that's the deal. The more you focus on Jesus, the more you'll follow Jesus in 2022. And when you do, he'll perfect your faith in him until your life will look so different, you won't ever want to go back. Back to my question. We all want what God has for us in 2022. What are you holding on to that's holding you back from that life, from all he has? What are you holding on to that's holding you back, that's holding your marriage back, your family back, your church family back from all God has for you and us in 2022? What's got you your focus so you can't solely focus on Jesus? It's time to throw it off and run the race. Now, a little illustration, and I got some encouraging next steps for you. Back in college, about 20 years old, I was only a Christian for about a year and a half. But all my friends had girls, and they were long-term, and I couldn't find. I just kept dating and making a mess of things, just a mess. And you're like, how would you make a mess of things? Such a great marriage. Well, at that point, I didn't know much. I mean, I was dating, but just said the wrong things, and I'm quiet, introverted. I know that shocked some of you, but I didn't talk enough. I just kept blowing relationships up, and sometimes multiple. It's college, a couple at a time, just dating Nancy here and Lisa over there. Just making them mad. Everyone's mad, and I went to my campus pastor, just a new Christian. I said, I don't know what I'm supposed to do. You know what my campus pastor said? You should think about fasting from dating for 1 year. I'm like, first of all, what's fasting? He says, abstaining, not doing at all. I said, I'm 20. You want me to look back and say, oh, that year when I turned 20, that was great. I didn't date a girl at all. I can't do it. He said, I'm going to press in. I'll just maybe a month. So I prayed, and I heard God say fast for an entire year. And so he gave me some instruction. Follow Jesus and work on the things he wants to work on in you, and how to be a great husband one day, a great boyfriend one day, how to lead towards him and whoever you're dating and one day marrying, how to become the kind of man of God you're supposed to be, and watch to see if God won't do something after that. And so I took him at his word, fasted for almost an entire year. I say almost because I was traveling, switched colleges, entire year. And you know what my guy friends told me? Okay, that ain't going to be all right. That's not right. I'm like, dude, I got to do this, and I did this. Fast forward a couple years, I learned so much about myself. I learned so much about how God wants to use me in another person's life and partner with him for that person. And then I met Holly. And I just knew God said, this is what I want to bless you with, for holding back, letting go, following me. And I've got this. And I'm going to tell you, it's been the best 34 years that I could ever dream, not just marriage, but of life with the woman that God gave me. Now, you applaud the marriage. Yay, that's awesome, because I got the best. But the obedience to his way of life is what started it. You take him at his word. So the worship team's going to come up. We got a couple minutes to talk to you about your next steps. We're doing 21 days of prayer and fasting. It might scare you guys. Oh, not eating for 21 days. How does that all look? And I'm just going to make this real simple for you. 21 days where we come together as a church. Many pray and fast on their own throughout the year. That's between you and God. Love to hear those stories. But as a church, we come together and we pray and we fast every January for 21 days to commit to these things for one another, to commit to this next year how God wants to use us as a church and individually throughout this next year, and to speak to us and move in us. We come together for these very things. We fast together while we pray for 21 days, okay? What do I fast from? Well, you're going to get some helps in the email and on Facebook, some things you can fast from. We start with food because, let's be honest, this time of year, most of us have already had too much food over the last 2 weeks, so it's a good start. What kind of food? Consecutive days between you and God, but it's up to you. Some fast do a Daniel fast, just really clean out that system, just get focused on God. Some do sugar fast for 21 days. Some do different kind. You know where your health is. You press into God, let him do that with you. Some can't go 21 days, do the first 3 days of every week. Start somewhere. Say, I'm going to hold back on this. Some can't fast from foods, your health, whatever's going on, you fast from other things that are becoming a distraction in your life. Social media, TV, entertainment, Netflix, I don't know. Hobbies. I felt God pressing in more than once about my fitness lifestyle, because it's got to be, you ask Holly, it's been 2 days since I've been in the gym. I look like Pee Wee Herman, and God says, you need alignment, bro. Yeah, we know, right? You need alignment. So, all right, I'm not going to the gym. Pressing in. Whatever that is for you, pull back. What's God have for you? And here's the whole idea. We fast for 3 reasons. I think they're up here. We fast to make more room for Jesus in our lives. We stop doing some things and fill that time with Jesus time. You can't focus if you're not carving out time for him. Stop doing that. Lean back away from whatever you're doing and fill it with Jesus. Don't just sit around and go, I wish I was doing that thing, but I'm not, but it's almost over. What can you do? Read the Word. Get devotions in you. We have devotions that come out throughout the 3 weeks. We do things like worship night, smoothie night, fellowship night, prayer night. We do all these things to help you fill that time with Jesus. Number 2, to create a void that Jesus can fill. If you fast from something that's going to create tension, you can then go to Jesus and say, fill that up. I'm starving. Fill it up, Jesus. I'm going to prayer. Fill me up, Jesus. I want to go do that thing. Fill me up, Jesus. Let me spend time with you. Make me joyful. Fill me up, Jesus. Create the tension and the void so Jesus can fill. And lastly, to focus on Jesus so we can hear him better, throw things off, and run the race marked out for each and every one of us. By the end of the year, end of the month, I'm telling you, if you commit to this, we always see God move in miraculous ways. We've seen marriages healed. We've seen bodies healed. We've seen people saved and healed from addictions, even though they weren't even fasting from that. I gave up sweets. Next thing you know, cigarettes were gone. This is what God does. When you become obedient to his life, his way of life, he says, look what else I can do. So I'm going to ask you, you've got 7 days to press in and pray, God, do I want to join this family in what could be the best year of my life and this church's life? And where does that look like, God? Commit to it. Share it. We'll have emails going out. Email back. Hey, I'm going to fast from this, and I'm praying for this. You'll get directions on that. But I'm telling you, the family will never be stronger and more effective for the kingdom when it comes together with one mind and one spirit on what we're supposed to be doing. Focusing on Jesus, the author and perfecter of our faith, so that we can do all he's set out for us to do in 2022. And then we'll all look back and go,